Good morning. Well done. Thank you, President Broderick, for your kind introduction. It is wonderful to be back here at CRWUA. Many, many familiar faces and friends are here. This is always the conference that brings together all of us who work on the Colorado River issues. It's an honor for me to join you again as Reclamation's Commissioner on behalf of the American people, and for President Trump and for the Secretary of Interior, David Bernhardt. Here we are in this great basin, and what a legacy we have to follow. It's 150 years since John Wesley Powell's fateful trip through the basin and through the Grand Canyon. It's 97 years since the 1922 Compact was negotiated. It's 75 years since the United States and Mexico signed our historic treaty on the use of the Colorado River. 20 years since we found a way to allow off-stream interstate banking. And it was only 2007, 12 years ago, that we put together and negotiated the 2007 guidelines and the reinvigoration of our relationship with Mexico. 2 years, in 2017, since we signed with Mexico, Minute 323, and finally, 7 months since this basin and the Department of Interior signed historic drought contingency plans. As someone who has spent my life hiking, camping, rafting, skiing, backpacking throughout this basin, it's hard for me to imagine a better job than digging into the fascinating and challenging issues we all face here on the Colorado River. And as Jim mentioned, I'll just say, what a difference a year makes. As you will recall, this time last year, we at Reclamation were laser focused on working with interests across the basin to try to push the DCP package across the finish line. The efforts to secure those drought contingency plans have been underway for several years, involving all 7 states, tribes, Mexico, water users, and non-governmental organizations up and down the river. And it was time to get them done. Well, while I won't be the last at this conference, let me be the first to congratulate you all for the intense, dedicated work that led to the adoption of the Upper and Lower Basin Drought Contingency Plans and activation of the Binational Water Scarcity Plan with Mexico. Back in May, that was a memorable day at Hoover. I have to say one more time, to all of you in this room, to those of you who are in the negotiating parties, to those of you who supported them, for those of you who covered for them at home while they had disappeared for it seemed like months on end to negotiate, to work, to analyze, well done, everyone. It was truly remarkable to have the divergent interests across the basin make those difficult compromises and forge the agreements necessary to complete the DCPs. A dozen years after the extraordinary efforts that went into development of the adoption of the 2007 guidelines, a new generation of negotiators and drafters stood up and they forged those important new chapter of this law of the river. Since completion of the DCPs in May, I recognize that the hard work of implementation has begun. In the Upper Basin, the states are focusing on complicated legal, policy, operational issues regarding potential development of a demand management program. Turning downstream, just a few days from now, on January 1st, the first required savings under the DCPs and the Binational Water Scarcity Plan will begin in the Lower Basin as well as in Mexico. And for those of us at Reclamation, we are actively working to assess and evaluate ways to save up to 100,000 acre-feet of water each year. One thing I would like to make clear up here at the beginning of the conference is whether we're immediately beginning work to renegotiate the 2007 guidelines. The simple answer is no. It's not yet time to take on that task. The 2007 guidelines are clear. Before the end of 2020 and before turning to renegotiation, Reclamation has an obligation to evaluate the effectiveness of our current rules. This is an important foundational task. As we look ahead, I expect the Secretary will have more to say on this topic when he visits with us tomorrow. But this morning, with adoption of the DCPs behind us, I thought that I would just take a few minutes to look back on our recent history. There are plenty of panels and opinions out there as to what the basin should do next. I look forward to all those views, those presentations. It's a time to talk about those things. But as the basin looks ahead, I also wanted to share with you a few themes that stand out to me as some of the key themes that distinguish this basin from others around the West and frankly, from around the world. I had the honor this summer of attending World Water Week in Stockholm, Sweden. I did that with Commissioner Harkins of the IBWC, with Ambassador Del Rio of Mexico, Jennifer Pitt from Audubon, Ted Kowalski of the Walton Foundation, and we all made that giant journey so we could talk about our incredible partnership on the river. Our presentations focused on the risks facing the Colorado River Basin and the extraordinary cooperative agreements that have been developed between Mexico and the United States over the past decade. We all realize, of course, that without the domestic progress within the upper and lower basins, it's hard to imagine how our binational efforts would be able to address the operational, water conservation, and environmental enhancement elements that are the foundation of the binational cooperative process on the Colorado River. The presentations from around the world at the Stockholm Conference once again reminded me of the unique people and the unique programs and the incredible way that this basin has brought itself together to achieve greatness, to move forward. It is not an exaggeration to say that the progress in this basin is an inspiration for others around the world. And reflecting on our progress, I wanted to see if I could distill the vision and the accomplishments of this basin into a few key themes. You know, we're talking about looking back, understanding what works, what doesn't. We're talking about, in many ways, looking forward. But what's made us work in this basin? Because we truly are the way it should be done. You all here are an example to the world. So I've tried to synthesize our progress into a few key themes of what makes us work. First, I'll say that we know that our job as water managers is to ensure water and power reliability. This is our mission. We provide reliable water and power. In contrast to many basins across the West, here in the Colorado River Basin, I think there has been a collective will to ensure that we are taking action year by year to avoid a crisis. And 2019 is sure a great example of that. But next, how do we avoid that crisis? How do we avoid destabilizing conflict in water management? Well, we ensure full compliance with our nation's environmental laws, and we get ahead of our responsibilities where possible. When you look at the recovery programs in the Upper Basin, the decades of work on the Grand Canyon, and the last 15 years of implementation of the Lower Basin Multi-Species Conservation Program, we have a record to be proud of in this basin. Next, and I can't tell you how important this is an area where much has been done, and much remains. As pointed out in the Tribal Water Study released last year at CRWUA, While many tribes have fought to protect their rights and have secured settlements, much work remains for the tribes to address the needs on reservations across the basin. This basin we have achieved extraordinary progress, but this is an area that needs more attention and it needs more action. Next, as we said, this year marks the 75th anniversary of the United States-Mexico Treaty on the Colorado River. And the United States and Mexico stand here today as true partners on the river. In the last dozen years, we've seen our partnership renewed and thriving due to the hard work of our governments. But I also don't think it is an overstatement to admit that the governmental partnership may not have occurred without the catalyzing engagement by our NGO and environmental groups working with the basin states and the water districts. They brought vision, they brought funding, they brought follow-through. And this was a true catalyst for our progress. This cooperation and partnership with Mexico is an area that has gained attention across the nation and the globe, and it's an important element of our modern vision of the basin. So I see the next two themes as inextricably linked. We need to find flexibility within the law of the river, but we also need to engage in negotiation and consensus, not litigation. I see these two themes as demonstrating our work together across state, across basin, across international boundaries. We find solutions to all of the challenges we face. That's what we do in the Colorado River Basin. We have tapped the creative problem solving of so many individuals over the past 25 years, and we've avoided that polarizing litigation facing most of the West over this same period. So finally, when I look out the progress we've made, at the leadership that's been shown, it is my hope, and I see it every day, I saw it in the meetings yesterday, that we have developed a culture that will endure as new leaders come on board to deal with the challenges and the increasing difficulty we know we're all going to face. I saw it in the last 2 years as many of the next generation of our negotiators and leaders were critical to the success of the DCP, and you'll see that discussed in the panels over the next 2 days. So those are my ideas about how we've accomplished what we've accomplished. I think it's something to think about. We need to be proud of what we've done. You need to be proud of all that this basin has accomplished together. But with those themes, I wanted to take a step back for a moment and share something with you. As we look to share and work towards our tougher challenges in the future, Reclamation is right there as a partner with you. You may have noticed in the hallways or in some of our meetings, we have been looking to modernize our visual identity in the same way we're working with you to modernize our infrastructure, to modernize the ways that we work together. And I wanted to share it with you this morning. So as we look at our mission across the West, how we serve the American people, we see 3 primary themes at Reclamation. We provide reliable water supplies. We generate reliable and clean power supplies. And we do our work in an environmentally responsible manner. At Reclamation, we've rolled out a new logo for our employees, for you, for how we view ourselves, for how we portray ourselves, for how we tell our story about how important these things are. We did that internally at Reclamation. We prepared a short video, and we did that for the 5,000 women and men of Reclamation, and it focused on these 3 elements. How are they included in our mission, in our identity? In closing, I'd like to share with you this video, and you can see how we're talking to our employees, and you can see how important our mission is moving forward. So if we could turn that on.
Hello, Reclamation. I'm Commissioner Burman at beautiful Pueblo Dam. I'm here to talk to you about our brand and to unveil a new chapter in Reclamation's identity. Our brand is who we are as an organization and what we represent. It goes beyond our mission of bringing reliable water and affordable power to the West. Our brand speaks to core values of respect, safety, and professional excellence. It's our reputation as an international leader in engineering and water supply reliability, and it's our commitment to delivering water for agriculture, renewable hydropower, and municipal needs in an environmentally sound manner. Over the last century, our brand has evolved to reflect changes in how we carry out our mission and how we communicate. Today, we are taking proactive steps to improve the way we tell our story. As federal servants, we're obligated to use plain language and provide transparency, and we have new ways to reach our audience through social media. As part of a larger effort to modernize our communication infrastructure, we are launching a new logo. As the department is rolling out a reorganization to unify the regions, we're rolling out a logo to build a consistent identity across Reclamation. We have designed a logo that is easy to recognize and builds on our history. It embodies the strength of water and the strength of our employees. No single image can encompass all we do or the impact we have on the national economy. We rely on our employees and our partners to showcase our complex mission. The logo is a tool to help us do that. Embrace the opportunity by using our new logo. Over the coming months, Public Affairs will provide guidance as we transition to our new visual identity. Please reach out with your questions and your feedback. I'm proud to be part of Reclamation, and I'm excited to introduce a new logo to identify our organization.
Thank you. Thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for such a warm reception. Thank you for everything you do to make the Colorado River Basin a place where we call home, a place where we have reliable water and power supplies, and a place where we know that we are doing our work in an environmentally responsible manner. Thank you.